Star Trek Discovery is a show I really like. If you don't know, I don't talk about Star Trek on this channel a lot, which I'm trying to solve because, yeah, I adore Star Trek. In fact, I might be a bigger Star Trek fan than Star Wars fan. And yeah, you know what? I'm a bigger Star Wars fan, but Star Trek is second. Okay, I don't even know why people compare Star Trek and Star Wars. It's just because of the names. And let's be real, if you compare these shows because of the names or these series because of their names, you're ridiculous. Okay, Star Trek and Star Wars are nothing alike. It's still, and people say that doesn't happen that often. I'm like, no, it still happens a lot. Uh, no offense, because actually one of my friends doesn't like Star Trek, and she compares them based off their names. So no offense to people who do that. I'm just saying, like, there is no comparison. No. Anyways, let's get back to the subject of this video, which is Star Trek Discovery. I want to talk about each season of Star Trek Discovery because we have season 4 dropping next month, and I'm probably going to be reviewing each episode week to week as it releases, and I'm probably going to do the same with Picard. And yeah, I want to do that with this show, and I'm very excited to do that, and I don't know if I'm going to cover it all once it's all out or week to week. I'm no promises, but I'm thinking about doing it week to week. I have a new Star Trek show that we got next week, so I'm going to have a review tomorrow for Lower Decks because Lower Decks drops its last episode of its second season. So I'm going to review all that show, and then I'm going to talk about this other show dropping next week for Star Trek. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. Is just preparing you for more Star Trek content. Yeah, so I know a lot of people hate Discovery, and there are some complaints I do think that are very valid with this show, which is that the Klingons' new look is ridiculous. Like, why do I don't understand why they changed the look? Okay, they looked perfect. Well, not perfect, but they looked really good before. And now they don't even look like the Klingons anymore, and they feel very different, and I don't like that aspect of it. But for the most part, I am fine with this show because it feels a lot better than most Star Trek shows. And now, let's be real. Okay, the first season of Discovery is its weakest season. But that's okay because guess what? The first season of Next Generation was its weakest season. The first season of every single Star Trek show is its weakest season, besides maybe the original series. I think that was a very consistent series. It wasn't like. But the rest of the Star Trek shows, I think every first season they have is their weakest season. And so if you complain about this show going, it's pretty weak, I'm not saying that's an excuse for it, but I am saying that that's normal. And weak, and keep in mind, I'm saying it's weak doesn't mean it's bad. So, like, it's a good season, but compared to what comes next, it's not as good as that. And a lot of that has to do with the show feeling like the first season of Next Generation, where there's some good episodes here, there's some well-written episodes, but you can tell they're still trying to figure out their footing and what they're doing with this show. And I think season 2 figures that a lot better than this season, but because of that, it does feel a little off compared to where the show would go later. But what I really like about the show is what I feel like no other Star Trek show captures. Even my favorite, Next Generation, is my favorite Star Trek series. That show was amazing. Okay, that show was amazing. But one thing it never did was feel cinematic. It never felt like anything more than a TV show. Even the acting felt like nothing more than a TV show, and that bled into the Next Generation movies as well. And keep in mind, you, I love Next Generation. I love all those actors in that show. I love everything they did with that show. But just I cannot deny that they just it's not it's not how do I explain this? I'm trying to explain it well in a way that makes sense, right? it's not cinematic. It just doesn't feel like it. This show does. The special effects, the production value. Of course, a lot of that has to do that this is on a streaming service, Paramount Plus. But the special effects here, the aliens, the worlds, the different planets, they look incredible. I think this show looks gorgeous. And the performances. These feel like performances out of a movie, not out of a TV show. And I think that's one thing that's always bothered me about TV is the lower standard for TV, where you'll have a lot of TV shows that the acting's weaker than a movie, and the production value is weaker than a movie, and then and I've criticized things like that in the past. And what people used to tell me was, well, what do you expect? It's a TV show. And I'll ask you this: if that's distracting in a movie, how is it not distracting in a TV show? That's where I'm coming from on that. And so I think that it's really awesome that this show was able to beef up the production value and, give me a very pretty looking show with great performances, excellent writing. I mean, the writing here is great. I think a lot of our characters are super interesting, and I like seeing their different dynamics play out. And this show is a lot better than the first season of Next Generation, where it does feel a lot more defined, but still feels like it's going through its growing pains, figuring out what kind of show it wants to be. But for the most part, I feel like this show has a better grasp of that, and it's a well-written, good show. I love a lot of the dialogue in this show, and just so many good characters in this show. I think that people are overly harsh to this show, and I'm not really sure why. I get that this show isn't perfect, but there are people that literally attack this show daily, and it's in all the Star Trek shows. And there's one I'm going to be talking about tomorrow that I'm not a big fan of, and actually, I'd rather not say too much about that in this review. But I'm just saying, yes, the new era of Star Trek shows isn't perfect. One thing I don't like about these new era of Star Trek shows is they have a hard time bringing in new audiences, and we're stuck with just the old fans. And I really love Star Trek and the fans and things like that. But we're at a point now where we need to start bringing new fans to this franchise, and it's not working out that well. And I think that, Star Trek, though, is one of my favorite franchises of all time, and it's not perfect, but we can't just keep attacking everything for no reason. There isn't a reason to attack the show. It's a well-written, good, pretty-looking show with its flaws, of course. But damn it, Next Generation had its flaws too. The original series has its flaws. The original series is dated as hell. I love the original series, but I can't watch that show very often because it's so dated now. You know what I mean? It's Star Trek. It was never perfect. I don't understand the hate for Discovery. I really don't. And if you don't like it, that's cool. Whatever. You do you. But I think the hate is overblown for this show. I like this show. I like this season. Simple as that. When I finish season 2 and 3, I'll have several reviews for those. I'm just going to review every single season in preparations for season 4, which I'm very excited about. I think it's November 18th. I forget the date, but yes, please give me some damn Star Trek.